Okay, well, today we got this story. March 2nd, part owner of the Oklahoma City Thunder dies one day after being indicted. Aubrey McClendon. I've been showing a ton of connections of why I think the Warriors will win and or be in the finals. This one makes me think a little bit. I still think that it's going to be the Warriors, but interesting, I want to point out a few connections to the Thunder. So I've previously mentioned that maybe I am wrong with the Warriors. They're just super coded to the Chicago Bulls, just like the Panthers were super coded to the Chicago Bears. But what ended up happening was a lot of them teams were actually coded to the Chicago Bears. Even the Broncos were coded to the Chicago Bears. Lots of 46 connections and whatnot. Interesting, the Panthers had the win streak of the Bears, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. So maybe that's what's going to happen with the Warriors. So I want to point this out just in case I am completely wrong. So I guess first thing I noticed about this guy dies in a car crash, just like Monty Williams' wife, who died at the age of 44, I believe 20 days earlier. But interesting, the night before, and also the day that this guy was indicted, the Oklahoma City Thunder scored 131 points against the Kings on 3-1. Remember, championship equals 131, Super Bowl equals 131, a very special number when it comes to the championships, I guess. Also, in regards to the Chicago Bulls, the year that the Chicago Bulls had the 72-10 record, in the NBA Finals they beat the Seattle Supersonics. The Oklahoma City Thunder are originally from Seattle. They're originally the Seattle Supersonics. So, something to think about. It makes me wonder if, like, the Cleveland Cavaliers are actually coded to the Bulls, and I'm just not seeing all of the coding as of yet. Maybe it will start popping up in the future or whatever. And maybe it's going to be the Thunder and the Cavs. I mentioned previously about how David Blatt was fired the same day that Steve Kerr came back. The reason he was fired was because of the blowout loss to the Warriors, supposedly. Interesting, they had 11 losses, a number that I've talked about over and over. OKC equals 11. Oklahoma equals 31, just like Oakland, where the Warriors play. The 11th prime is 31. And remember how I mentioned that the game after the Warriors blew out the Cavs, they played the Chicago Bulls. They beat them by 31 points. The score totaled 219, just like back-to-back championships. But interesting, when David Blatt was fired, the next game that the Cavs played was against the Chicago Bulls. That was when Tyronn Lue, a former Nebraska Cornhusker, became the new head coach and whatnot. So interesting, they played the Chicago Bulls. I've also mentioned a lot of Nebraska Cornhusker stuff in regards to the Civil War Teen Wolf type theme that they have ran for a while now. His name in Gematria even equals 144, a number connected to 44. The Warriors in their 44th season. Steve Kerr came back on 122 the same day David Blatt got fired. It was the Warriors' 44th game of the season. Tons of connections. That's why I still think that it's going to be the Warriors. But like I said, I want to keep pointing this out. They've had 2 car crash deaths with their team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, a lot of times you see sacrifice deaths around championship winners and whatnot. So, anyway, this guy died at the age of 56. A number that I've talked about over and over and over. Tons of 56 stuff this year. Black Lives Matter, 56. Climate change, 56. Paris, France, 56. ISIS, 56. Paris attacks equals 56 in Gematria. Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, Adolf Hitler, all add up to 56. Tons of 56 along with bad things. But interesting, in the article that they give you, he talks about how when he's being indicted, he says, I have been singled out as the only person in the oil and gas industry in over 110 years since the Sherman Act. Just 110 in this article sticks out a lot because 110 seems to go a lot with this 56. I've seen it over and over documented 110 and 56 together. Osama bin Laden equals 56, the small way with the S exception, also 110 the big way. The World Trade Centers were 110 stories tall, proposed and approved by a Rockefeller. Rockefeller equals 56 and 110. Adolf Hitler, 56, 110. Paris, France, 56, 110. So like I said, I've just noticed 56, mostly with bad things. There actually has been a few times where the 56 has worked in a good way. The Broncos were in their 56th season. But basically pointing out the connections, showing that 56 and 110 go a lot together. This guy dies at 56. They even put 110 in the article. Also, Oklahoma City Thunder. In Oklahoma, they had a 5.1 earthquake that happened on the 44th day of the year, the beginning of Lupercalia, 2/13/2016. The date numerology adds up to 51. Cleveland hasn't won, as a city, hasn't won a championship since 1964, which is 51 years ago. Cleveland and Gematria, with the V exception, even equals 51. That same day on Lupercalia, Antonin Scalia died. Antonin Scalia equals 51. The biggest ever Oklahoma earthquake recorded was a 5.6. Interesting, if you added up 5.1, this was the second worst. 5.1 and 5.6, it adds up to 10.7. The word earthquake equals 107. I've also talked a lot about the numbers 31 and 11 with the Warriors, but Oklahoma equals 31. 5/6 is also the 127th day in 2016. The 31st prime number, you got it, 127, so interesting. Also, the day that McClendon was indicted, and also the day that the Warriors scored, or I keep saying the Warriors, I'm sorry, the Thunder scored 131 points, was on 3-1, and if you go to the day the NBA Finals began, it's a span of 93 days, but also a span of 3 months, 1 day. So 3-1 plus 3 months, 1 day takes you to the NBA Finals. And it's also 46 days before the playoffs begin on April 16th. Remember, Chicago equals 46. Also, though, in regards to the 93 days, and this is another reason why I think that's still about the Warriors. Also down here, I'll talk about the 146. But in Gematria, 93, very interesting number. Back-to-back championships, the small way, equals 93. Also, February 19th equals 93. 219, right? February 19th, 219 equals 93. The word back-to-back championships equals 219. The big way, Oracle Arena, where the Warriors play, equals 93. Also, lots of other stuff. Martin Luther King's name adds up to 93. Malcolm X equals 93. I talked about the Warriors, if they beat Oklahoma City tomorrow, they will be 55-5. The fifth prime number is 11. If you write out fifth prime number, it equals 93. Golden State equals 122. 122 equals 93. So I think it's just foreshadowing Golden State. But like I said, wanted to point this out just in case it might have something to do with the Golden State Warriors or the Oklahoma City Thunder winning, or at least playing the Cavs. But anyway, in this article about McClendon, they showed this little thing in the video, and this sticks out big time. 14-6 or whatever, the 146. We've seen this number a whole lot on Lupercalia. There was the pile-up in Philadelphia. Can't remember. Fredericksburg, Philadelphia. They add up to 146. Also, John Calipari got thrown out of the game after 146 seconds. Tons of other stuff with it. Power outage equals 146. Just throwing that out there. Broncos versus Panthers, Super Bowl 50, 146. Oakland, California, 146. Malik El Shabazz, an alias of Malcolm X, 146. Interesting, too, if you go from the beginning of the NBA season, also, the day that the World Series began, Obama's going to Cuba 146 days later on 3/21. Also put in there, Monty Williams' wife died in a car crash, age 44, on 2/11, or also 1/12, which is 112 days before the NBA Finals began, which sticks out. But, once again, if the Warriors win against the Thunder tomorrow, they'll be on a 7-game win streak. If you write out 7-game win streak in Gematria, it equals 211, just like the day that Monty Williams' wife died at age 44, 2/11. So, who knows? Today, also, interesting, the day that this guy died was 3/2, the 62nd day of the year. Also, remember the guy talked about the Sherman Act, since 110 years since the Sherman Act. Sherman Act equals 102. Just interesting, we get this article on ESPN right before the Warriors play the Thunder again. Curry's three-point pace equals 102 hours from Trout. Or what, I don't even know, but 30-second video, Curry's number 30. Also interesting to point out that the Warriors first played the Thunder this year on 2/6, which can also be written as 6/2 of 2016. And it was exactly 102 days after the NBA season began. Also, if you include the end date, it's 3 months and 11 days since the NBA season began before the Warriors played the Thunder. Also, the date numerology of this game, 2 plus 6 plus 20 plus 16 equals 44. Plus 2/6 to the NBA Finals when it begins, a span of 118 days. Remember the other night when the Warriors beat the Thunder in overtime, the score was 118 to 118 before Steph Curry made the most ridiculous three-pointer of all time to get his 12th three-pointer to win 121 to 118. So definitely a number sticking out. It is, however, if you include the end date. But I've seen this lots of times, the end date included. So like I said, who knows? Just seems kind of odd. There's a lot of Oklahoma City bad things happening in regards to Oklahoma City, an earthquake, people dying in car wrecks that are connected to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I wonder if it's not connected to this year or something, if maybe it's connected to next year or something like that. Maybe this year. Just really seems like the Warriors and the Cavs are completely got the green light for the NBA Finals this year. I also mentioned previously that, if the Oklahoma City Thunder would have won tonight, they would be going into the game tomorrow night with 43 wins, trying to break the Warriors' streak of 43 games to make it 44. If Oklahoma City would have beat them tomorrow, if they would have won tonight, they would have had their 44th win, stopping the Thunder or the Warriors from getting 44 home games in a row. But who knows, we'll wait and see what happens, see how it goes. I really think that if the Warriors beat the Bulls' streaks this year, there's no way they're going to lose the finals. But who knows? They haven't really beat one yet, so we'll find out tomorrow how it's going to roll. So have a good one.